this is now a new series within the Urban Legends. This is the start of our American Urban Legends tour. You asked for Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and Florida. Clara could be seen talking and singing to the doll by the asylum staff. In 1899, she was released from hospital due to overcrowding. So even though she allegedly committed murder, she was fit.
It's never a reason to
Who should we let out? Okay, the crazy bitch talking to the little doll. Get her out. I don't think a caramel would get me to open the door. Oh, hello. But it is
3 a.m. You're actually petrified. Then you see a Weber's original. Well, now, the image of somebody looking at you through a window is very, very scary. Do you know what I mean? That's worse than being murdered in a way. So it's up there.
the name William Shine for a dentist.
It's brilliant.
It's a
top-notch.
good
Well
name.
done.
Shame he was given laxative to kids.
I know exactly what you mean, but like Tom's alluding to there, I think, I'm just imagining some big old whales in the canyon.
God.
I don't know how this is my job. I'm listening to people talk about little angry, deformed babies turning into beasts. Hello guys and welcome back to Jaack Mate's Happy Hour. This is a show that we've done a number of times.
What, happy hour? Over 100 now, I think.
No, this is like a little offshoot, offcut little, you know what I'm trying to say? Like a
The
little...
crumbs of the show.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
The Urban Legends.
Oh, like a little segment that we do.
No, it's not a segment.
A series.
A series.
There we go.
A popular series that all the little slugs out there like to watch. I keep saying slugs today.
You do.
You said sweaty little slugs a second ago.
Yeah, but I was thinking about us. The
okay.
slugs at home might be sweaty. I don't know what
They are.
don't know what they're up to. It's quite hot at the moment in the UK. Oh, it's weather, eh?
Let's keep this going. Keep the energy up. Come on.
We're back again with Nozza.
Hey,
Are you right?
yeah, really good. Thank you.
I'm getting flashbacks to us doing clickbait. It's just,
Yeah.
I always do this to him as well. Like when we have a guest in, I'll just go, so we're here with Raphael Rowe. Stevie, how are you? And he's just all like a newsreader.
I didn't know I'd have to talk.
Yeah, let's crack on.
Okay, well, I'll go into a little couple of things before we start this one. Firstly, we no longer need to say this is Urban Legends 4, 5, 7, whatever we say.
Why?
Because this is now a new series within the Urban Legends. Because
What?
this is the start of our American Urban Legends tour.
Oh,
So, if you remember at the end of last episode,
nope.
remember listening to that, Tom?
Yeah, I do.
big
Oh,
fan.
that's a great one.
You gave me 4 states in America. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
And you ended up making people tweet out, "We want Dog Boy."
How can't you remember that? That's very. What kind of crap do you tweet? Dog boy.
I think I vaguely do remember it.
So you
Also-
said 4 states.
Also, I'm kind of pretending that I remember it because I know that people now meme the fact that I don't listen to you. By the way,
Okay.
did you see that guy's sketch the other day?
King Riz.
I tweeted it out. There was a guy called King Riz who did a sketch of Happy Hour and he played all the characters and it was so good.
That will come to about 10 quid.
Stevie! Did I ask you to speak?
It was gold. He even mastered my little laugh. Jack said something really stupid, and you just hear in the background.
How you doing, you old slag?
No, I need to watch it.
It is good. Well, I can't remember what I say, but I think it was just like, oh,
You
it
go,
was-
you slag.
Oh yeah, I go. Welcome back to Happy Hour. We're joined by King Riz. You schlag. How are you? And then he comes
just-
to Stevie with a shit beard. He goes. It's so good. Check out if you haven't seen it, King Riz on YouTube.
So you asked for 4 states. You
Yeah.
asked for Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and Florida.
Yeah, because that was a humble brag. It's 4 states that I've actually been to.
Yeah, and funnily enough, Dog Boy, the one that you made people tweet,
Yeah.
was actually Arkansas, and I thought AR was Arizona, but it's not. AZ is Arizona. So I've added Dog Boy anyway, so we've got 5.
5 states to
Because
get through.
I couldn't not do Dog Boy after you clearly remember making me promise that we'll do it.
Right, okay. So, and then going forward, we're going to try and get through every state in America, an urban legend.
That's
of
the
each
plan.
one.
I'm thinking about 5 per episode, as long as they're nice and lengthy. And then
So that's, let me do some, that's 8 and a bit episodes. How many states are there?
It's 50 odd. So it's 10
that's at
and
least,
a bit.
that was quite easy maths.
I thought there was
You're just bragging about being there, going, yeah, how many? There's only 44 stone.
I thought I'd been to like 10% already. Turns out about 4%.
No.
Yeah, so we're going to start with Dog Boy.
It's be 8%.
No, we're going to end with Dog Boy.
I just said that, didn't you? Good. How come? Go back to that King Riz sketch. Actually, how come that he makes it a thing that I drink water all the time?
Because I think there's 2 or 3 occasions where mid-story you've been drinking water and you've gone, sorry, I wasn't listening, and then you go, I was reading the bottle of water. Are we ready? And hopefully at the end of this, if they go well, we might even get to visit the States.
Yeah.
And then go and see these places.
Yeah.
So that's the ideal plan.
You'll need a cameraman.
Yeah. We did actually pitch that in.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Because Alfie's great at holding the camera, really is. All right. Urban legend numero uno, Arkansas.
He doesn't listen at all,
Arizona.
So the first one you asked for was Texas.
Just you take the show.
Shall I do it?
Yeah.
I'm the one who's written them. Okay, so Texas. This is the story of the Candy Lady.
Right. Ladies are always creepier than men.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. Keep looking at the camera.
Candy Man. Yeah, I like Candy Lady.
Candy Lady.
Oh, maybe that's the wife of the Candy Man.
Shall we find out?
You say it 4 times, they both turn up.
And the Candy Baby. Which is a bit...
Have you seen my... Go on. Sorry. Niche references.
I'm not sure it's that niche.
No.
I'm gonna go. Shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, so the creepiest urban legend in Texas stems from a small town just outside of Dallas.
I'd say already that the creepiest urban legend in Texas is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's not an urban legend. That's just a film.
Is that real?
Leatherface.
No.
It's based on a serial killer, Ed Gain.
Which
Wow.
you'd know if you went over to.
Tom brings good facts because I'm sure we spoke about this on the last episode.
We're just a bunch of podcasters hanging out.
You and your mate host a podcast called I Could Murder a Podcast.
We do.
A few episodes out right now on YouTube. Check it out. That's a good show because it's based on facts. Here, the Candy Lady.
I'm making this shit up.
It's going to be yeah.
That's what I like about it. You can go anywhere.
Yeah, come on in.
But today we're going to Texas. So this is the story of Clara Crane, the Candy Lady from Terrell, Texas. Clara Crane was accused of poisoning her husband back in 1895. She gave him some caramels that were laced with some form of poison that killed him. A few years before...
I'm just happy.
It's buzzing.
That's what it says.
Where were we?
Werber's
A few years...
Originals.
For God's sake. A few years before she allegedly killed her husband, the Crane's 5-year-old daughter died. Clara blamed her husband for the passing of their daughter, which is why many believe that she killed him. Clara was placed in North Texas Lunatic Asylum, which is now known as the Terrell State Hospital.
Lunatic Asylum.
That's so harsh. Isn't it?
Back then, I think that was a bit more
May as well
normal.
call it the Nutter Shop.
While in this asylum, Clara made a doll out of torn bed sheets. The doll she called Marcy, the same name as her daughter. Seen below, so I'm going to say it, but is a small portion of a letter that Clara supposedly wrote to her sister while she was in the asylum.
Is it an actual photo of a letter?
I got rid of it. I just wrote it out.
Oh, you can do a voice.
Yeah.
Dearest Aggie. That's just such
Irish.
a twist. Dearest Aggie.
Because she's from Texas,
Yeah.
mate.
I don't know how do people from Texas...
Howdy.
Yeah.
So that's
Dearest
what it says.
Aggie.
You want a caramel, boy?
Yes.
I
that's
am
it.
elated. I have been informed by Dr. Matthews that Marcy and I will be returning home in less than 3 weeks.
So camp.
Well, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, Marcy can barely contain her excitement. Every night she asks, "Is tomorrow the day we can go home, Mother?" Mother?
Mother, I'll shine your shoes, governor.
Very soon I will be able to tell her yes. That's the letter. I'm going to stop there and carry on.
The yes was excellent.
I was listening this time, but I was too focused on the accent to actually get
It was
any of the
quite
context.
distracting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Basically,
Okay, read it again, but in a normal.
She's made
How
a-
would Stephen Hawkins read it? No, go on.
we're not
Sorry.
doing this. She made a doll out of torn bed sheets.
Yeah.
And then she wrote a letter to her sister, basically saying, "Marcy keeps asking me when we can go home," which is the doll.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So Clara could be seen talking and singing to the doll by the asylum staff. In 1899, she was released from hospital due to overcrowding. So even though she allegedly committed murder, she was fit for
That's not. It's never a reason to let.
Who should we let out? Okay, the crazy bitch talking to the little doll. Get her out. Mental.
It's a bit packed in here. Who's closest to the door?
She's got a bedsheet in her hand. Take her.
So she was released. So even though she allegedly committed murder, she was fit for release. No word on where she officially went after that, because back in those days you didn't have aftercare. Once you're out, you're fine.
Right.
Well, so this is where the urban legend actually begins.
Ooh, I like that.
So in 1903, children started going missing from near her old property. Children said candy would be left on their window while they were sleeping. Sometimes there would be notes on the wrappers around the candy. After several children started going missing, the townspeople believed it was Clara, the woman that killed her husband with poisoned candy, who was responsible for these disappearances. A nearby farmer had found teeth in his field, and the town sheriff who was investigating the case went missing and was later found dead. He had forks shoved into his eyes and was found with candy in his pockets. No one really knows whatever came of Clara Crane, but to this day, it is believed that the candy lady still roams around luring little children with candy, then pulling out their teeth and stabbing them in the eyes with forks.
Oh, that's such a niche way of the fork bit. Just kill them, then leave them.
So we have to rate these on.
Do we want to rate them
Thing is,
anymore?
As someone who's edited a lot of these,
Yeah.
believability is dog shit because it never works. You always just go no. So why don't you rate it more on like spookiness and terror?
What just?
So, or what would you do if she was at you? Like, what would you do?
So how about we rate it on how scared we are of the story, and if it was real, how scared would we be of it?
So believability you put at 10 and then say, so it is real, that's how scary it
Okay,
is.
you crank it up.
Yeah.
So just say how scary the idea of it is then.
So like the idea of it is quite scary because she's going around stabbing kids in the eye. That's
Yeah.
quite scary.
Yeah.
I do stand by. It's creepier that it's a woman.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nah.
No.
No, I think if it was like a big man,
Yeah, but is that because you feel like you could take on old fork lady?
I'd give her a go. I'd give her a little right hook. Yeah.
Mrs. Candy.
Mm.
Candy lady.
Yeah.
I don't know. The eyes thing. The eyes thing is terrifying because that's just a horrible image, especially if she does it pre-death.
Why does she need to do that?
That's just over the top.
The candy's already laced with some kind of.
No,
chemical-
Also, how many forks is she buying? She buy them in a set. So if you're using all those forks, your knives just knocking them out.
so many spoons. Take up a fucking smack addiction just to have a reason to use them.
I just had too many spoons, Mabel, or wherever the kid was called.
That's the worst excuse to be a smackhead, isn't it? Too many spoons. I had to do something with them. This show always comes back to smack.
It does. It has very often lately.
Yeah. So what are we saying? So scareability, spookiness. I'll give it like a 3. Because I imagine back in like the late 1800s, they probably would release people for mental reasons, just like bit full.
Love how you corrected nutty with mental. I think the idea of it's the woman at the window that always terrifies me. It's people looking at you when you're sleeping and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think a caramel would get me to open the window and go, oh, hello. But it is
3 a.m. You're actually petrified. Then you see a Weber's original. Well, now you've flipped on his head.
enticed me.
Yeah. You've charmed me.
Oh, yeah. I think it's weird saying if it was real or not, but if as a kid, I would be. This would scare me.
Yeah, to hear it as a story as a kid, it would definitely.
But why is she seeking revenge on kids rather than because this is the husband that allegedly killed?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it was. It comes across a bit like she's just annoyed that she doesn't have her kid, so why should anyone else?
Yeah.
Or maybe she's taking him in because she wants the children to be hers.
No, that makes sense because then she'd be a child kidnapper. She wouldn't kill the kids. Now you're mine.
At no point did it say she's killed the kids. It just said
Forks in the eye.
children started going missing. The forks in the eyes were for the sheriff.
Oh.
So the kids started going missing, then teeth appeared. So it's just teeth were coming out from.
But maybe
all
she's
candy.
giving them so much candy, the teeth fell out.
Oh yeah.
And then she put the teeth under a pillow. Tooth Fairy comes.
She was minted. She bought more.
Do you want a spoon?
Have you? I will up my scariness because, as you said, the image of somebody looking at you through a window is very, very scary. Do you know what I mean? That's worse than being murdered in a way. So it's up there. Have you ever heard the case, Mr. Crime Boy over here? I just assume that you've done all the crimes now. Have you ever heard of the case of Stephen McDaniel?
No.
That's the freakiest one. He was. Can I tell you a bit about this?
Yeah.
He was
What-
well, no, because it's like urban legends and that. But this is a real. He was not a legend, let me tell you. He stalked this girl that lived next door to him on campus, and if you go on YouTube, you can. It's called The Disturbing Case of Stephen McDaniel, and you can watch this psychology guy break it down.
JCS.
Yes, fucking great
So
channel.
good.
Yeah, and you can see the footage of this Stephen guy filming through this girl's window, and it is horrible
Yeah.
because it comes up midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and she's in there sleeping. He's filming. He goes in there at 4 a.m. and she wakes up. You don't see it, and he kills her basically. But although, like, obviously, I run the risk of sounding insensitive here. Like, obviously, a woman has lost her life, but the scary bit of that wasn't actually the act. It was the fact that he had been watching her for
that
so
long.
long.
And what's running through his mind the whole time. And all that kind of
and
thing.
then they searched his apartment because I'll go into it a little bit. But he gets interviewed on the news like a couple of days later. He's got a bit like
I didn't see the whole footage, but
he's got like big fuzzy hair, and because he chopped her up in the bath and put her bits like her limbs and that around campus in different bins. And he didn't know that they'd found a body. And they speak to him on the news, and they go, "What was she like? This woman? Her name escapes me. I should really know." But they asked, and he was like, "Oh, she was just the sweetest person ever. Like, everyone loved her." And then they go, "Oh, do you think the body that was found?" And he goes, "The body?" And he just stares at her, and she asks him another question. He doesn't reply, and then he's like, "I need to sit down." He turns around in this like robot kind of way and goes and sits down. Her name was Lauren Giddings, right? And the fascinating thing about this case, we will get back to your urban legend, but the fascinating thing about this case is when he gets interviewed. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
When he gets interviewed on by the two police officers, he turns into a catatonic state for 2.5 hours. So he obviously the listeners won't know what I'm doing here, but like he puts his arm down by his side and he looks forward. And this psychology guy who breaks it down, he says that the police in interrogation, they'll move close and they'll go, "Look at me," and you have to look at them because then you get intimidated. And usually the suspect will break eye contact, but he doesn't. And the police officer goes, "Look at me," and he just slowly turns his head and looks at him.
He looks like the kind of guy that brings his own homebrew to a party and has Diablo. And then in the night he's just really drunk and he's trying to play on it a bit, and he wants people to be worried about him because he's just there like going. But he is creepy. And the guy does buckle, and he does.
The police officer breaks view, and then at the end of the interview, it's 2.5 hours. The YouTuber speeds up the clip, and he goes, "You'll actually find how actually amazing his performance is, because for 2 hours he does not move his body, and he's just doing his head is just moving, sped up to 20,000 times the speed, and he's just looking at each officer as they come in the room, but his body will not move, not itch, not like slant or
so
anything.
weird.
So weird, and he talks like, "No, I had nothing to do with it," like that, and it's and then because his mum comes in. They can't show that bit of the tape because she's just a member of the public.
Yeah.
But the mum comes in and it cuts to black. But they say that he just turns into a normal guy as soon as his mum comes in. And then as soon as the police officer's back, he's like that again. It's fucking well weird.
And when he left, there's just a single spoon on his chair.
And a little can't think of what it's called.
Caramel.
All right, back to yours.
So that was the story. We've done how scary we think it is. There's a bit of an origin behind this. So poison candy myths and basically urban legends about malevolent strangers hiding poisons or sharp objects such as razor blades, needles, broken glass in candy, and then giving the candy just to harm children.
Right.
And it normally tends to be a story around Halloween, obviously.
Yeah.
There hasn't actually ever been an actual case of a stranger killing or permanently injuring a child doing it this way. But the stories do tend to appear after a child suddenly dies sometime after Halloween. But the autopsy always comes back that there's nothing to do with the candy.
There's always like that rumour going around that like some like nutters put like drugs in the candy and
Yeah.
stuff.
So there's never been real proof behind anyone actually being hurt from this.
I think you guys actually touched on this with Lawrence.
Did we? Oh,
Yeah,
right.
when we did the Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Editing.
Big fan.
However, there have been incidents where children have heard these stories and then tried to put objects in candy and pretended it's a stranger because they're like little copycats, and obviously kids just they don't think much of it. They just do it. But no one's been properly hurt from it. It's just been known that it has happened.
Right.
Wasn't there an event, a
was just
YouTube
thinking
event,
that.
where like a fan put needles or something in cakes?
Yeah.
So there's been a few little things like that.
And the YouTuber ate it, cut the top of their mouth, and then the girl said something fucking weird, like, "I just wanted to make him feel something."
Just punch him.
Yeah. just hug him.
Yeah.
Feel a hug.
A nice comment.
Yeah,
Can
weird.
really lifts you for the day.
Yeah, because I got given some strawberries off of a guy who's a big fan of the channel, and had a needle in. No, he didn't really.
Scottish guy.
Yeah, Scottish guy, lovely lad. But they took the strawberries off me, and like they were like,
Wouldn't let you have them.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like, you can't eat.
Yeah,
them.
because we worried when we did Summer in the City that we wouldn't be able to give our meal deals out to people.
Yeah,
weren't
they
we?
let us do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were riddled with needles, smack needles, smack needles. Right, spookiness 6. I'm gonna go, but that's only because
Done
I'm.
that.
Oh, sorry, I've only upped it because I'm thinking of the Stephen McDaniel case. It's got nothing to do with you. I'm like, that was weird. Actually, he's 7.
So these stories actually came around back from the Industrial Revolution.
Did they?
Because food production used to be in homes and in local areas, and then when it went into big factories, no one knew what they were putting into the foods, the process it was being made with, and the machinery. So stories started coming out of people, like if someone died, they'd go, it's because you're just eating that food from the new factory.
Right.
Like it's not being made by your neighbour anymore, or your bakery next door. It's
Yeah.
now in a massive factory.
But I'd find it sort of safer if it's in a factory, isn't it? If some like nutter next door's just baking your cake in a little house.
Pissing in the lasagna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's stories of that, but
Yeah.
it's back in those days where like you're all like a tight knit community, and then this massive factory's built to make
Right.
your bread, and you're like, oh. There are some real stories similar though. So in 1959, a dentist in California, William Shine, gave candy coated with laxative pills to trick or treaters. And he was charged with outrage of public decency and unlawful dispensing of drugs.
The name William Shine for a dentist.
It's brilliant.
It's
top notch.
It's a
Well
good
done,
name.
Rebel.
Shame he was given laxative to kids. In 1964, there was a disgruntled Long Island, New York woman who gave out packages of inedible objects to children who she believed were too old to be trick-or-treating. So she'd give the younger ones sweets, and if she thought they were too old, she'd give them inedible stuff.
Like what? Like what?
Steel wool, dog biscuits,
What?
and ant buttons that were clearly labelled with poison.
What?
I mean, dog biscuits you could eat.
Yeah.
If you're
But
old enough.
steel wool, what do they think of those? Grey candy floss.
Nobody was injured, but she was prosecuted and pleaded guilty to endangering children.
Yeah, I should think so.
Also,
Sorry, going back to that name, Shine. Yeah, that reminded me of one. My cousin's missus broke her foot and had to go to the hospital, and her doctor was called Dr. Hopgood.
he was my doctor when I broke my knee.
Oh, sorry, that was you then.
That is,
I don't know why I voiced my cousin.
how's it going with your cousin?
Sorry, yeah. And there was somebody that found out they had what's gluten in bread?
What's gluten in bread?
Is gluten in bread?
Yeah, it is,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Somebody found out they had an intolerance to gluten. They went to the hospital and they was Mrs. Hovis. Was Dr. Hovis probably should be a doctor really, not just Mrs. Hovis, like a Robin Williams character. Oh, hello, come in. Yeah, it's that gluten
Your
playing.
friend in there, Mrs. Hofus.
Playing havoc with your stomach. Right, yeah.
Yeah, so there was that lady who gave the poison stuff to people. There was a copycat incident. Loads of them peaked shortly afterwards. And there was one month
does that mean?
before Halloween.
Loads of them peaked.
Like as in loads of copycat stories.
Oh,
out.
I thought you meant like the candy was laced in Mandy. Like, loads of them peaked shortly after. They kept going back to that house.
In 1982, around Halloween, there was a murderer who added poison bottles to over-the-counter medication. And the medication was delivered to stores. So he planned to give poison out to people through medication.
What's he getting out of that?
Killing people.
Yeah, but he's not getting to see it, is he?
As recently as last year in Massachusetts, the Cannabis Control Commission warned parents that they should be on the lookout for products that are unsafe for kids when they're trick-or-treating. So people are still worried about it, although it's very, very rare that anything actually happens and no one's ever died because of it.
Oh, wow. Fair enough. I quite like it, the story.
I
I think it's a twist on a classic tale. Do you know what I mean? It's like no longer the Candyman. It's like they've brought it back, but they need to put a woman in.
Like Ghostbusters.
Diversify.
Woke.
Yeah, like Ghostbusters, yeah. Very woke urban legend there.
Yeah, good. Yeah, we're good.
What are we rating it on? We done
Well,
it?
you're done.
We just, I think it didn't really work the way we tried to do it. I think just saying how scary it is. And
Yeah,
like,
did you like it?
Mm.
yeah, that's
Tell
fine.
me if you like the story, boys.
I did. I enjoyed it.
I like doing the believability though.
But it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know.
You always say no.
Yeah.
It's like saying food. I mean, that's not at all like that. But like, but believability is because you know it's not real. It's always going to be a 0.
Yeah, but there's somewhere I'm like, oh, I can imagine that being real. The ghost
Well,
of Funny Man Bridge.
If it could physically happen.
Yeah.
If the
But that could
story
happen.
side could happen, but not necessarily the ghost side,
Yeah.
I guess
Like,
you could
you
do it.
remember-
She wasn't. It wasn't the idea of her ghost doing it, was it? It was her.
Well,
just,
only the last sentence where it said people to this day still think she's around,
okay.
which obviously is 100 years ago. Okay, so the second one is one that I didn't mention last time because I got the letters wrong, the abbreviation. So this is Arizona, AZ.
Right.
Slaughterhouse Canyon. So you asked for Arizona.
Oh,
I said it was Dog Boy.
I had a feeling that you'd mention a canyon because this is where the Grand Canyon is. I think it spans over a couple of states, but it's mainly in Arizona, I think.
I quite like this story.
Okay.
So
Well,
hopefully
we'll be
you
the
will
judge.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so Slaughterhouse Canyon. The gold rush during the 1800s brought as much sickness, tragedy, and death to fortune seekers as it did riches. Smashed it.
Right.
Many gold seekers fell victim to disease, accidental death, and extreme disappointments in return for their sacrifice. This ghost story turns from disappointment to darkness and has managed to put Luana's Canyon, more commonly known as Slaughterhouse Canyon, on the map of paranormal travels. It was during the 1800s that a family lived in the canyon in a small wooden shack. The husband was a dreamer and wanted nothing more than to provide a better life for his wife, Luana, and their children.
just a dreamer.
Like, that's his job.
I'll just
You're a
keep-
dreamer, boy.
I keep thinking, where is the canyon called? What's it called?
Luana's Canyon.
Luana, Loa. Doesn't really work. But I had that in my head the whole time. I was like,
Loire's Canyon.
He would venture off into the mountains in search of gold and food for his family. The only food that the small family had to eat
Little caramels.
was
It's a crossover.
no spoons though. What?
This is like the Infinity War of urban legends.
it's like the only food they'd have is would be whatever he'd bring home from his gold hunting expeditions. The man would leave and would not return for 2 weeks at a time, but he'd always return and his family always ate. But all good things came to an end. One day, the husband kissed the family goodbye and rode off on the back of a mule to once again provide for his family. But this would be the last time the family would see him. The man had become another victim of the gold rush tragedy. His wife waited for her husband for many days, and after his expected return, and soon realised that there was something terribly wrong. The food started to dwindle until there was none left, and Luana and her children soon began to starve. Without food and without her husband, Luana began to slip into madness. Her children became pale and weak. They were constantly begging for food, but the mother had none to give. Each day that passed pushed the mother closer toward the brink of insanity until she eventually snapped.
Why can't the mum go
Yeah,
out and get some
get
food?
the fuck out of here and go find some stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't want to leave her children.
Lazy.
Bring him with him.
Yeah, day out of the canyon.
Unable to cope with the reality of watching her children starve to death, she murdered them and cut them up into small pieces.
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's mad.
She
That
has
is
gone,
mad.
It did say she's gone insane.
Yeah, what, just because she's hungry for a bit? David Blaine did that for like 40
He didn't
days.
kill anyone. Allegedly.
Don't rule it out.
So it's also said that she took the time to put on her white wedding gown before committing the horrific act. When the mother had finished this horrible deed, her white wedding gown and the walls of the tiny wooden shack were painted with the blood of her children. The woman then carried what was left of her children.
The dad comes back in and goes, what the fuck? Yeah. You at least asked me if you're going to paint it. So where are the kids?
I missed 4 trains and this
I
happened.
ran out of mule. I was thinking of that joke the whole time.
That's good, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry. She painted it.
Why is she... that's mad. Like, she's already a nutter, and she thought, how can I make this look more nutty? I'll put a dress on.
Don't wear white if you're going to be cunting.
Yeah, that's the worst. That is
Put
the
your
worst.
funeral gown on. That's not a thing.
What? Imagine the amount of Coca-Cola you need to get blood out of that.
Ooh.
That's what they use in America to get blood off the pavements. Coke.
Nah.
Coke.
Power washer.
And that, yeah.
The woman carried what was left of her children down to the edge of a river and tossed them in. She collapsed in a blood-soaked heap and began to wail loudly for her children.
Oh, too late now.
She was overcome with sadness and guilt. She remained
Wilson.
She remained on the riverbank and continued to scream and wail until the next morning when she would succumb to starvation herself. She died crying for the children that she had murdered. Many claim that the wails can still be heard within the canyon. On a quiet night, it is said that anyone brave enough to venture into the canyon can hear the wails and sobs of the heartbroken and psychotic mother.
I know exactly what you mean, but like Tom's alluding to there, I think, I'm just imagining some big old whales in the canyon.
God.
But blackfish.
I think she's more crying.
Sorry, but I have very little sympathy for this
Would
bitch.
you? Yeah, and you'd eat the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was reading through,
You thought it'd go that
I
way.
thought as soon as she chopped it up, I was like, oh, she's going to eat them. Nah, she just threw them in a river.
Yeah.
That she really didn't try hard enough. the survival instinct didn't kick in. She didn't go look for berries, forage. Have a little forage before
Yeah.
you kill the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, berries before murder.
Yeah.
This
Even
was
try the red one.
This was back in a time where women would stay in the house, so maybe she was a bit more worried of not knowing what to do.
I know what you mean.
She didn't have the correct training to be able to go and do what the man did.
Correct trainers. She only had heels.
No, but you know what I mean. Like the
No, I get what you mean.
No. What? So
the expertise were not taught to women back then because
Okay.
men didn't value them as highly.
But right, so the unwritten rules back then were women stay in the house. They speak unless spoken. They don't speak unless spoken to. They're seen and not heard, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she's willing to stick to them morals.
Yeah.
But
If anything,
but
good on her.
but sooner than she'd rather sooner kill her children than just go. Well, I know I'm not allowed out, but
well, no, it's one of those where she didn't know any other way. So it wasn't until she went crazy that she did that to her children. She didn't go, well, I'm either going to go and forage or kill my children.
then
A good captain goes down with the ship, and she was a good captain. She's like, well, he's left, and we're just going to sink all together, kids.
it sounds like you two are defending her.
I'm not. She's a no.
Awful woman.
But there is. I get your point about. I know you didn't tell her to do this, but you still think that she'd be like, oh, I'm really hungry. Darren hasn't been back for a long time. I should maybe just go outside, have a little tutor around and a little look,
Yeah.
rather than go, oh, but Dylan's been a real pain in the arse today.
I love these names for the
Darren and
1800s.
All the
Dylan.
D's.
I think she's a monster.
I want to be nice, slightly nice to her, purely because if we do go visit this place, at least she'll take you first and maybe let me off.
Tactics.
What are we? Oh yeah, I forget we might actually go and visit these
Yeah,
places.
so you slag them off because she'll obviously be listening to this.
It will just be a series of like going to canyons and that.
You're going to be in a camp, and you're going to go to bed, and you're going to hear. Shamu's next to you.
See a little fin come out of the sound.
A little gill.
I mean, if that's not a good video, I don't know what is.
Can we rename this urban legend the Whales of the Canyon? The Canyon Whale.
That's way better than Slaughterhouse Canyon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it'll get
sort
monetized. So.
So, what do you think of the story, other than hating her?
I think that so she was mental, yeah, but then after she killed them, she started crying and then showing remorse, which would imply that maybe she wasn't mental.
And then she starved to death.
Nutter.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking, though, is it? We agree she's a nutter. Do you think it's a scary story?
It doesn't scare me because she's not doing anything now to, like the other one says, like, oh, she can come.
Yeah,
get
it
you,
just
but
hears
she's
that you
crying
can
somewhere.
hear the cries.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything from what I could see
Just put-
about
just
like
put
the
the
"Have you
radio
seen my baby" situation where she appears. It just says that in that canyon you can hear.
Do you know, when I went to the Grand Canyon, I heard a story that, and this is fucking horrible, I hope this isn't true, but I heard a story that a guy proposed to his partner on the edge of the Grand Canyon and slipped while he was doing it. Bang, in the bottom of the canyon. But luckily, he landed on a whale.
What did she say? She just went, no.
I hope this isn't a true story.
No, I think it's like an urban legend.
It probably has happened. Everything has happened at least once.
Whales
I
in
don't
the
know if
canyon?
whales.
Little whale.
Well, actually, back in the day, it might have been water.
What? No, there'd have been a lake then.
Well, she threw the
If there's water in a
kids-
canyon, it's a lake.
kids in the. Didn't she throw it into a
Into a river.
river?
Why is there rivers near canyons? Canyons very
Why are there
hot.
whales in the river? But you didn't seem to argue with that.
No, it's a dry whale.
There's been there's been a whale down the Thames, hasn't there?
Has there?
That's happened before.
There's been a whale up there.
What am I doing in here with a whale?
All right, scary 2.
Yeah, that's not as scary as the first one. I'm going to go with a 3.
Okay.
She's not going to affect me.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Origin behind that, the whaling of Luana's Canyon is more than just an urban legend to quite a few people who have been there, because a lot of people have said that they've heard creepy calls from the murderous mother.
Would have just been wind. Seriously.
But after a bit of research into this, I couldn't find anything to say that it actually happened. I went through someone's like blog who went and visited the area and said they couldn't even find the house. So I don't know whether the house was there or it's gone now.
Right.
That's the kind of research I go into. Some shit person's random blog.
Do you think any of
Shit person.
It was a lovely blog.
Poor bastard.
lovely blog for a shit cunt.
Lovely blog.
The person? Shit.
Do you think any of the urban legends we've ever covered thus far has any kind of truth about them? I know the green light in the underground.
The green light, through the mirror, seeing someone suddenly behind you in the mirror.
Oh, yeah,
There was
Yeah, because see, I find them scarier when you say the origin stories, and they are actually like shit.
Yeah,
that was real.
Yeah,
like
'cause I was
a
gonna say,
whale.
if you listen to any of the previous ones, you wouldn't have had to ask that question.
Oh, okay.
Because you'd know that some of them were.
I did
real.
listen, but I'm just trying to remember, and I can't
Yeah,
remember
the-
because it's
the
very
mirror-
forgettable episodes.
I think I think the mirror one's one of the creepiest ones.
Yeah.
You know, like mirrors in bathrooms, the opening doors. You know, in a lot of films when people shut the door and there's suddenly someone behind them. Back in a lot of like high-rise buildings in New York, behind those mirrors were the walkways through to do the plumbing.
I remember.
And there was
that,
there's a story of a murderer who broke through that mirror to get into a house.
You ever see the documentary called The Voyeur on Netflix, where this guy, he owns a hotel and a motel, sorry, and he has basically this hollow loft, and he has holes in all the ceilings.
Oh.
And he spent years and years watching and documenting what people done. And he's basically come out and admitted it all. And it's a whole documentary based around him coming out and saying what he's done. But he's apparently stopped the murder happening once before from doing it.
What?
And it's all like, yeah.
So it's more just through interest of people rather than.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to.
Creepy.
His wife knew he was doing it as well. She'd give him dinner and he'd go upstairs and go and do it.
What the hell?
It's Voyeur. It's good.
Well, and that's real.
Yeah.
That reminded me a little bit of that film.
The photos.
No, I don't want to give too much away, but it's called it's the hotel that's in the middle of the Bad Times at the El Royale.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah,
There's a
good.
bit in that that's a bit like that, which is weird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people have said that they do hear it.
Was that one of your favourite ones of today?
No.
Thank fuck.
Because you said before it, though. This is.
But there is a reason that it's called Slaughterhouse Canyon, though, is that back in the 1800s, there was a family there that owned a ranch. And
Yeah.
they had cattle, and they surprisingly slaughtered them. So,
Right.
just because of that, but people took that name.
Did
and
they
just
have
made...
Did they have any whales?
No.
Blubber.
You rated that
I'd like to watch it.
as a
Not
film?
as in like that, as a film. Yeah, not as in.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
don't
quite an
wanna
interesting
I
film.
think a film could be quite
It'd
good.
be like 127 hours.
Yes,
but with
But then
the
you
death
get
of
the
children.
Children, yeah.
Yeah, I was quite interested to see what happened to Darren on his trip and what actually killed him. So,
Well, we'll get the film
Do
going.
did you find out in the sequel what happened to him?
prequel.
The next one, is though. Should we move on?
Yeah,
We're happy, yeah? That's
Yeah.
just a bit of a story, really.
you did say that was the best one.
No, I didn't.
He said it was
Okay.
a good one.
I said I like the story.
I prefer no,
Yeah, the first one was better. I agree. Didn't realize we were going to argue over it. This
Don't
one.
take it personally. It's not
You know
your
what?
story.
At the end, should we just rank them 1 to 5?
And now you wonder why I don't listen.
No, I like them.
Okay, so the next one you asked for was Nevada.
Yeah.
This one's got a cool name. It's called the Spiteful Mermaid of Pyramid Lake. This one I want to be a bit careful on because it's about a Paiute. I want to say Paiute tribe.
Stevie told me about this beforehand and said it's going to be a minefield to get you through this without offending anyone.
Because it's there's 2 stories involving this place,
Right.
and it's the Paiute tribe,
Yeah.
and it's a real tribe.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying whether the story's real or not, but the people involved are real, and it's their story,
Right.
and there's still indigenous people around.
Yeah.
So I literally even wrote a note to myself saying we need to tread carefully on this one
We'll see about that.
because they've probably got ancestors, still knocking about.
Right.
So don't be a prick. Okay, so the mermaid one we'll start with. As I said, there's 2 stories. So shall we go?
Yes.
I'm worried already. Okay,
I'm frothing at the mouth.
so
Thank God you said mouth.
The arse.
so these stories both involved creatures. So the first one was a mermaid that a Paiute man fell in love with. He took her back to his village to marry her, but the tribe told him to take the ugly creature back to the deep waters and get rid of her. The mermaid was so angry after being banished that she cursed the tribe. The curse lasted through the Paiute Wars of 1860 and still lingers today with some tribal members who believe the wars and all the bad luck is the curse from the angry mermaid.
Right.
And then around that area, apparently, there's lingering from those tragic wars are the spirits of the cavalry troops that can sometimes be seen riding over the hill, heading into battle with the Paiute.
Yeah.
So that's the mermaid side of it.
Yeah.
There's also another really old legend at Pyramid Lake that tells of water babies who have haunted the lake for centuries. So they were deformed or premature babies that were thrown into the lake right after birth, left to drown as they weren't wanted by the Paiute parent.
By well, how do you say the tribe?
Paiute.
Paiute. That guy, do you know actually he grew up to have a YouTube channel called PewDiePie.
God.
Come on, I'm going.
Oh, so Yeah, they were left to drown because they weren't wanted by the tribe. Spirits of the babies were angry and have been heard crying or laughing from the waters. Each spring, at least one fisherman has fallen into the lake and the body was never found. Some say the bodies sink to the bottom in the very deep water and can't be retrieved, but most believe that the water babies ate them.
So can I just ask for a question for the viewers? With this, do you read it all and you rewrite it?
Yeah, some of the right.
Because just the word you've thrown a deformed baby into a lake,
Yeah.
and then the babies are angry. It's just the word angry. I find
No, so at this point they're dead and they're now beasts
for a
in the
long time.
water.
Beasts. And have you seen
That's what they call them, creatures.
Batman Forever? I think that's how Penguin. He was an ugly baby, and then they got thrown in, and then he turned into Penguin. That's just the origin story of Penguin. But
I don't know how this is my job. I'm listening to people talk about little angry, deformed babies turning into beasts.
yeah, that's
that's the two stories from Pyramid Lake.
You know Mario, the game?
I do.
Did you ever play like the first one where you go through there's like a level on it where it's like a dungeon and all the music turns like dark and you go through and it's a darker dungeon and then you have them ghosts.
When it goes do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah,
And Bowser's.
and the ghosts come, but you sometimes get the ones with the teeth and they come at you. That's what I'm envisioning for these little deformed dead babies.
Okay.
the babies are creepy.
Okay. And the mermaid who cursed
Oh fuck
the
that!
tribe.
Fuck her off.
Yeah, she
Tries too hard.
Yeah, and that was quite a short and succinct one. I think your heart was in that one as much as it was the babies.
Yeah, I did prefer the baby one, but
Because it is creepier.
but the urban legend for some reason is more about the mermaid. But I think the baby one's creepier. I
Yeah.
agree.
The baby one I'll give like 6 to spooky.
Okay.
Just because I think if I saw like a dead baby, I'd be sad. But if I saw a dead baby that, as you quite eloquently put it, is now a beast, I would be somewhat off put by that.
Okay.
And what was the word you used for them? Water babies.
Yeah.
It sounds quite cute.
Yeah.
Wasn't there little toys you used to have with the babies you would just squirt water out of in the bar?
Can't remember. Let us know.
please do. Yeah, the babies one is creepy.
Okay. So I like that one.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, I'd like to quickly state I didn't go through the internet looking for these stories. Jaack told me the state. So if you don't like any of them,
I like
his
it.
fault.
I've been very complimentary. Right?
Yeah. Too complimentary. No, yeah, all right, creepy. Yeah, the mermaid one, again, not for me.
I was thinking about my joke the whole time during the mermaid one, and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You're allowed to interrupt. Jaack does it all the time.
What was
I'm
that?
used
Ran
to
out
it.
of meal?
Pardon?
Ran out of meal?
That
No,
was
no,
the
that
one
was the other
before.
Oh, was it?
There's a PewDiePie.
Oh, okay.
PewDiePie.
That's usually what I do. I get one good joke in my head, and then I block out everything else and just wait for my time in the sun.
Yeah, the babies. Yeah, babies. I think creepy wise, I'll probably go. I wouldn't want to go in that water at all because of that story. So that's quite high. 7
If you went to America now, you wouldn't want to go in the water in case
of that place.
Really?
Not just anywhere in America.
I will not be touching water.
I'm not going to Wet and Wild because a baby died a few states over.
But you wouldn't go into that lake,
I don't like water we can't see under anyway. And
right?
if there's any chance, little monsters knocking about under there, grabbing my legs. Ooh,
Not for you.
not for me.
All right, yeah, I'll go on then. I'll give you a 6 still.
Would you go in the water?
If this series happens, middle of the water, you're going to jump in.
Yeah,
Left for 10 minutes.
100%. I'll get in the water.
Boat, take gun away. You're in there for 10 minutes.
Is the baby? Are they killer babies or are they just like?
It says they ate them.
Well,
the
like
babies
little
eat
piranha, little dead baby
Yeah.
mutant piranhas.
And as well, we're going to throw a few deformed babies in just before.
Just in case.
Oh, thank fuck! That's just a normal deformed baby. It's not one of them.
But I'm angry now. Can talk. Can properly talk.
Yeah, that's the best one yet. No, it ain't.
Candy one for me still.
Mutant
Okay,
baby. I'll go
so
for.
I've got origins for both of these.
Yeah.
So the mermaid one, the Paiute tribe lived in peaceful seclusion in this area for centuries. But then the lake was actually discovered by an American explorer, John C. Fremont, in 1844. When he discovered it, there was a western expansion, and it had disastrous consequences for the Paiute. As miners chopped down the trees, which was a major food source for the natives, and cattle ranchers caused
They ate
destruction. Well, strangely, things grow on trees.
Avatar.
Okay. Little dead babies.
For fuck's sake. So they caused destruction of an already sparse vegetation with their herds, as well as competing with the Paiute for land.
Right.
The Paiute people tried to live in harmony with the settlers, with the white settlers, and traded with them regularly. A majority of the tribe did not appreciate the disruption to their way of life and resented the the presence of the settlers on their lands. The anger turned to violence, and eventually the Paiute raided the settlers, and they did actually have a war, the Paiute War in 1860, which was mentioned in the Mermaid story.
Right.
So when that happened, they all went back to the story of the mermaid and blamed the mermaid for the curse of causing this war to happen.
But that's just an origin story of how a war happened. That's not an origin story of how a mermaid came to be.
No, so that's what I'm saying. But the story was just one of those that was told throughout these tribes,
Right.
and in all the years, all the centuries before. And
Yeah.
then when this happened, they blamed the curse of the mermaid for it.
That's utter bollocks then. That's like me going,
Yeah.
oh, my granddad said that when he was younger, like a little leprechaun spoke to him and said, oh, there's going to be bad things happen. And you go, what's the origin story of that? And I go, well, the war happened after that.
That's what I just said. That the part of the story, the only part of the story that actually has real something behind it is the war.
the war.
I'm on the side of the tribe in this.
Oh yeah, of course.
Just in case you're watching.
Big up the Paiute tribe.
Yeah.
Um,
Down with
okay,
Mermaid.
and then the water baby's origin is quite interesting. So this
I
is
hate that
why
word.
you might not want to go in the water, and why you probably wouldn't want to after this.
It's already
So
agreed.
there's actually an eerie phenomenon in this water that a lot of people have actually gone in and vanished, and they'd suddenly be found in Lake Tahoe,
Yeah.
which is 61 miles away. So they'd fall into this river, the lake of the pyramid. lake.
Strong current.
But Lake Tahoe, the outlet of that is a Truckee River, which flows down the mountain and feeds Pyramid Lake. So it goes 61 miles away, upwards.
Upward, like a salmon.
So there's technically no way for that body to get up there. But it's quite a few times there's been a body actually found.
What about if they've fallen in and they've fallen on a big canyon whale that happens to be going the other way? That takes them.
But there is a theory that there's actually underground tunnels under the water that connects the two lakes. So
Euro style.
that could be a possible way.
That's not a possible way.
So the bodies can go into the subterranean tunnels and then deposited out in there. So that's
Okay.
But the lake apparently is too deep to properly look into it.
I have no idea why people enjoy these episodes.
Thanks.
I do.
I just think it's all such waffle.
It's all nice. It's all stories.
Well,
isn't
this is true. I'm telling you, these people have actually died in the water.
What was they swam 61 miles
No,
upstream?
They were found.
No,
the bodies
the
were
body
found.
was suddenly found up there, even though the last time they were seen was in that water.
It's like David Walliams doing a sport relief.
Goose fat.
And then another reason people actually drown there is because when you're along the shore, the water is really clear and you can see the bottom a couple of feet down, so it looks like it's safe. But right next to it is a sudden 350-foot drop.
Whoa.
So you can step off the ledge and you're suddenly just down. Obviously, if you can swim, you're okay. But on the off chance that you're there,
So it's like that, and then there's the drop. But
350
they've been
drop.
found the other way.
yeah, they've suddenly been found 61 miles away.
Mad. Maybe it was a
Elsewhere.
big old trampoline at the bottom of the drop.
That reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons when the ship sinks and hits all the springs and the whatnot.
No,
yeah, I
no.
remember that. When they all flushed. They all flushed the mascot of something, which was a spring.
Yeah,
Nice.
cool.
Shall we go for a break there?
Yeah, I'm quite hot.
Go for a break,
Rest.
refresh yourself. I'm going to try and compute whatever the fuck's just happened over the last 50 minutes and try not to think of mutant little water babies during the break. See you in a bit. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Happy Hour podcast. I'm still joined by Stevie White and Nozza. We're going through urban legends. We had 3 in the first half. You heard a story about a whale in a canyon. You heard a story about a little dead, deformed monster baby. Would be offensive, but remember, it's a monster. It's not just a dead, deformed baby. That would be nasty. It would raise questions. And the first one we had was the Candy Woman.
Mrs.
Candy Lady.
Woman.
Yeah, the 21st century remake of the classic Candy Man. What you got for me now, Stevie?
Okay, so this one's a little bit shorter than the other ones. This one is Florida, and this is called the Devil's Chair.
Oh, that sounds good.
There isn't much of a story behind it.
Brilliant.
Build it up.
So,
It's where the devil used to sit.
done. The Casadega spiritualists camp is full of odd ghosts and stories, but one chair is supposedly a favourite of the devil himself. It is said that if you were to leave a beer on the chair overnight, it would be empty by the morning. This would even happen if you were to. This would even happen if you were to leave the top of the can unopened.
Right.
Okay, I'd put this bit in first because I was expecting you to
Yeah.
fucking rip into it.
It's making me think of leave a carrot out for Rudolph. Oh, Rudolph's been inside, but how
Yeah.
did he get in, Mum? Not in, Mum.
I used to leave the carrots on the doorstep.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. Well, we had sooty footprints from the fireplace, which was a good move. But my brother looked at the bottom of the shoes and it ruined the whole thing.
I like that
Yeah.
he was that inquisitive.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that story that I've told you plenty of times where my dad dressed up as Father Christmas and left out the back gate, and I told my sister to look, and she just turned and went, Father Christmas got the same trainers as Dad. It is Dad, you silly little cunt. Grow up. Carry on, sorry.
So, if you were to leave a beer on the chair, it would be empty by the morning, even if you hadn't opened the can. So I like that little bit because if we do go and visit this one, we could just try it, which is nice.
Try the beer.
No.
Will there be one there?
It'll be empty.
Yeah.
But the much worse part of the story is that if you were to be bold enough to sit in this chair, he would whisper horrible things into your ear that would mentally scar you and change you forever.
Rudolph fucked you, man.
Shit jeans, you're wearing shit jeans. These stories develop and they get changed.
Yeah.
And so, kind of like this, when people point out things that obviously are a fault, someone's gone about the beer being drunk. I was like, well, yeah, someone could have just drunk. They go, oh, but it was unopened. They're just adding layers. To
Yeah.
it. So if you sit on it, so you sit on it, the devil slags you off a bit.
Yeah. That's just what some kid across the funeral, across the grave, I go, wanker.
So there's like a can of beer.
So there's two different things that can happen. You can leave the beer on the chair,
Yeah.
come back to it, and it'll be empty
But still closed.
and still closed.
Right.
Or if you dare to sit on this chair, you'll start hearing in your head the devil speaking to you and saying things that will mentally change you forever.
If you sit on it and you really need a shit, it will just disappear.
Oh,
From the inside.
quite like it.
Without
Maybe that'll be
opening you
something
up.
that comes up and like people invent in the future.
I hope so.
Patent that. Dragon's Den.
Right. It's mine, right?
It has actually also been said that if you stay on the chair for long enough, hands will rip through the ground at your feet and drag you into the underworld.
Right, no.
That's the best bit.
You just
You
added.
just kind of threw it away.
I wanted to go through the shit because I knew you'd rip into it.
Why? What is the chair?
Satan's chair.
So
yeah, but where is it? Like,
Well, I'll go into that with the origin. So it's just a chair in Florida.
Mm.
It's in a graveyard.
right. So it's like a bench, like a park bench.
It's a chair. Just only one person can sit on it.
Small bench.
Lazy boy. A lazy
Yeah,
boy.
a small bench, otherwise known as a chair.
Okay. I don't find this scary at all. I think it's just a chair.
So you'd feel comfortable sitting. Like you said, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be comfortable doing Bloody Mary to a mirror. So why would you be comfortable sitting on a chair that apparently the devil owns?
Because Bloody Mary, like if once I'm off that chair, right? If he hasn't dragged me down,
Yeah.
right? You only hear the nasty words when you're on the chair.
Which you used to through years of YouTube.
Exactly. I'm sure we're gonna have plenty of comments on here. Like, can we just in all the comments? Can we just pin them on Stevie this episode, please?
Slag me off for ages like
Yeah.
you're the devil.
I want to say as well with it though, the kind of weird prick who's drinking beer at a graveyard.
Mm.
I woke up and the beer was gone.
What about if like they've gone to see their dad or a loved one and they like the beer? So I'm having one for you, Dad. Send one
Yeah, but
up.
why are they leaving it overnight? And
Littering.
then coming back for it and going, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, true. You can't leave a beer somewhere and expect it to be there the next day.
That's rule number one.
Anywhere.
It's like a hot pie on a windowsill or a caramel.
What's a hot pie?
A hot pie. It's just a pie that people leave to cool on the windowsill in cartoons.
Some
Tom and
people would
Jerry.
steal it.
Oh, and it's usually like a plum pie, isn't it?
It's always purple.
Yeah, weird.
Mm.
That's the real urban legend.
So neither of you appreciate that story.
I like the plum pie. Yeah, it's
No,
just
I'm getting after the show.
it's just a chair. Tell us the origin of it.
Okay, so the chair itself there's quite a few kind of areas in America, especially that there's something similar to this. So it's the devil's chair or a haunted chair. In folklore, it's frequently attached to a class of funerary or memorial sculptures common in the United States during the 19th century. And it's often associated with legend tripping. I've read into legend tripping, looks quite weird, but it's basically just something that people attach a legend to.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so they're basically admitting it's fake and just going, this will be a good place for a legend.
No, so it was put there for the reason of being a bench. So back in the 19th century, graveyards would always have like carved chairs.
Right.
So it'd be like made out of stone, but like it looks quite cool. I can show you a photo. But it's just basically for someone to go there, and it would be called a mourning chair. So you could sit in this chair and mourn
Until the
loss
afternoon.
You got that, man.
Yeah.
You old dog.
Yeah.
You'd mourn the loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
And cemeteries have since
Bring it down.
cemeteries have since provided benches for the same things. That's why there's now benches. It used to just be these kind of chairs.
Do you think on the benches, I don't know if this is true, but do they have in memory of as well? So Doreen could be buried there and also have a bench. I think
Yeah.
It's feasible if someone wanted to pay for the bench.
Bit greedy.
she loved it round here. What's Doreen doing round here?
She loves sitting.
In the morning.
But yeah, a lot of these chairs were not really intended for anything other than just to be a monument and then that you could sit on it. But once the original purpose of these chairs had fell out of fashion, so when no longer was, what's the point in carving a chair when you can just throw a bench there for more people
2
as well?
chairs. 2.
It's a long chair.
Yeah.
People just started to make these stories. So local young people would dare each other to visit and sit on that chair and go, because you'd make up the story as kids.
Well, so you're making it sound like people attach the stories to this, and that like the people that own the place, like this will get the kids in. Do you know what I mean? Like this will up the numbers on the gate.
No, it was people attached a story to it, yes, but not originally.
So
not in the 19th century.
So
it's
if we
more
went,
recent.
if we went there now, right now,
Yeah.
would there be people around it going, "Oh, this is the
Probably.
devil." Really?
Yeah, because it's well known. Like you can just search it on Google and you get images of this specific
The
chair.
devil's chair.
That's why it's an
Satan's
urban
chair.
legend for this state.
Okay.
People
wow.
know of it.
It's got a bit-
Florida, right? Just Florida?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Florida.
With these chairs, there's always like a story behind. Basically, says if you're brave enough to sit in the chair, you'll either be punished or rewarded. So a lot of people like to
That's
do it
like
as well.
you here in this chair, isn't it?
I feel both at the same time.
You get followers, but you are bullied.
What's the reward? What's the reward though? We haven't mentioned what a reward you could get.
In this one,
You
there
get a
isn't
beer.
one, but in other,
The hand just reaches up and goes, "I'm not going to grab your legs." Little tickle from the devil.
in this one, it's because it's the devil's. There's no reward. It's just punishment
Oh.
on this one. But other ones, there are around America.
Do you want to sit in this scary chair? Why? Because there's a reward and or a risk.
No, but this is the
okay,
same.
but there's no reward.
Yeah, but there's no in this specific one. But in other chairs like this, there are stories of the reward as well.
Load of shit.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Bloody Mary. Like there's no reward for that, but you do it, and this is the same. Will you sit in that chair?
I'd have a little sit. Yeah.
Okay, well there we go. That's good for our video if we do go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd sit in the chair.
I'd let
With
you
a
sit
beer.
and then just whisper stuff behind you.
Your plum pie in your lap.
I'd give this a 0.
Yeah, I'm
That's
gonna go for 1.
It's just a chair.
Okay.
You seem sad
Yeah,
about
why? Don't take it personally. It's
I know,
not
I didn't make
your
these
chair.
up.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so the final one is from Arkansas, one that you didn't ask for, but we did ask for Dog Boy because I fucked it.
Yes, dog boy.
So this is Dog Boy. And I have to say this is my favourite from today.
Ooh, maybe some Stevie White merch coming with it.
I'm going to start with a small part of the story and then I'll say the story.
Puppy boy.
So there is a house in Arkansas that people always claim that there's paranormal activity that happens in this house. There's flickering lights, strange noises, moving objects have been reported. And also people have said that they've seen into this house a beast of a man through the window.
Ooh.
Big eyes, big hands, big feet.
Bit like Quasimodo, would you say?
No bigger.
Bigger.
Taller.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
not-
Because he is quite crouched over.
yeah.
Quasimodo with a good back.
Yeah.
Well, I've
so,
got a hunch.
so this house, I'll go into the origins after it, but these are genuine reports that I've just said. So
Yeah.
now I'll go into the story itself. So from a very early age, Jarrell, sometimes known as Gerald, was a large and challenging child. Neighbours reported that Floyd and Aline were good parents, but Jarrell was a malicious, demanding lout, always craving attention in inappropriate and tasteless ways. At a family reunion at Equipment City Hall, for example, Jarrell opened a chaise lounge. Chaise lounge. I went to go chaise lounge, but
Sorry.
it's a chaise lounge, isn't it?
How did you just say that? Chaise lounge.
That's that letter again from earlier.
That's the merch.
Shake down. There's a lot of things I've already. I don't want to interrupt the flow of it, but is there any? I think you're going to go into a story about what he's doing that's so weird. Yeah, right.
Yeah. This is just about how he was as a child.
I feel like I've missed the boat on this, but I'm just going to get the joke back in there. Sounds like a striker, Premier League striker, Shane Long. Carry on.
Okay. Then in the centre of the opened the
really quick.
chair in the centre of the room in front of a flummoxed crowd. He reclined back like a Roman emperor and arrogantly popped grapes one at a time into his grinning mouth.
How do you arrogantly do that? Oh, is it?
Yeah, all of them like that.
What, a whole bunch at once?
I told you he was big.
The whole bunch of Notre Dame. Hunts back.
Yeah, that's shit. That was terrible.
Sorry.
His social ineptness also made him a target of bullying at his elementary school, with kids stealing from him and teasing him over his hulking size.
Give me back my grapes.
But as Jarrell grew into a teenager, his social clumsiness took more of a feral turn as he began pursuing some unusual behaviours, including collecting stray cats and dogs, leading to his teasing nickname Dog Boy. So he started to be called Dog Boy because he was stealing dogs.
Right, and they often say that murderers derive from the abuse of animals.
Yes.
I bet he goes on to hurt them.
So what the teasing kids didn't realise is that he wasn't just collecting them, but he was torturing them and then killing them.
Yeah.
Neighbours told a reporter that they could actually hear the animals howling.
Wailing.
A cat howling.
So around this time, he was 6'4" and 300 pounds, and he began physically and psychologically abusing his parents. As a teenager, he beat his father regularly, and one time even threw him out of a second-story window. And Floyd was around 67 at the time, but he managed to hang onto the window ledge, and then the police came after being called by a neighbour. There is no information on how this was resolved. Although many details did not come until Jarrell was put into prison many years later, it was discovered that he frequently locked his parents upstairs for days or even weeks at a time, taking them food only when he got around to it. For money, he had a sunroom built on the house and had sold homegrown marijuana out of it. Floyd Bettis, his dad, died in January 1981 after a supposed illness, but rumours, fueled by the stories of Dog Boy, insisted that Floyd had been pushed down the stairs by Jarrell and died from a broken neck. There was no doubt that Jarrell was a frightening person. A neighbour of his stated that she was scared of him because of his eyes. She said, "If you had ever seen his eyes, they seemed to glow at night." Kennedy also recalled that in an interview, Jarrell and some relatives started cleaning up around the house. An uncle came round and asked if he could borrow a gun because he was afraid that Jarrell would get riled up. So the strange glowing eyes most likely led to the weird nocturnal sightings of a large creature, sometimes prowling the rooms and the hallways.
Maybe he'd just been on some of his homegrown marijuana.
In 1982, Jarrell's abusive behaviour started unravelling when his mother, Aline, fell or was pushed and broke her hip, requiring a stay at a health hospital in Heber Springs.
Health hospital.
It says Baptist Health Hospital. A retired nurse saw Jarrell's treatment of his mother firsthand. He was slapping her around, she recalled, and telling her, "I'm going to have you arrested if you tell anyone what I did."
I'm barking mad.
Because of this incident, Aline was permanently removed from the house and placed in adult protective services. Upon questioning her, then Jarrell at home, police arrested Jarrell for parental abuse and several drug offences, including distribution.
Can I just say, this is really factual, to the point of dates, times, dad was this. Is this real?
We'll get to the end. I'll tell you the origin.
I love it when Stevie says that.
Yeah.
So because of this incident, she was removed from the house and placed in adult protective services. And then he was arrested and put into Arkansas Department of Corrections. And then he died of a drug overdose whilst in custody in 1988 at 34. And he's buried in Pearson Cemetery.
What drug?
Just as drug overdose.
Jail drugs tends to be kind of weird pills and stuff, doesn't it?
Probably smack. Is that what you wanted?
Yep, always bring it back to smack.
It's gotta be smack.
So since then, the house was then sold, and every single person who's been in that house has noticed weird pennies floating, strange activity in the house,
Pennies?
lights turning off and on.
Sorry, no pennies.
Just things around the
weird
house.
Pennies though, not just
Weird things like pennies floating down the stairs and lights turning off and on, viewing him through the windows. a family actually bought the house, rented the house in 2003, sorry, and they left within a couple of months as they had similar occurrences, these floating objects, lights flickering off and on, the toilet would just randomly flush. And the last straw was with them was that they heard a crash upstairs, and he ran upstairs and found that there was a pile of wood that was all just stood up. So it was laying down. It was just suddenly all stood up, and they moved out instantly. So that's
because this is quite recent, in 1988.
Yes, that was from 2003. That wood story.
Is there a picture of this fella?
No, not that I could find at least.
How convenient.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the story. The urban legend side of it is all the stuff that happens in the house. The story itself, I kept reading loads of different versions of it that were basically just saying it's about a man who caught cats and dogs, tortured them. But everything I read, it says that it's true. So there was this genuine guy. There's photos of the gravestone for the mum and the dad.
Really?
Yeah. So
But we can't see a picture of this wildly beast.
No. Well, it says he's 300 pounds and 6'4", so he's obviously
Tyson
a
Fury.
huge man.
Tyson Fury.
But from this, there's a investigation team for paranormal activity called Casper, funnily enough.
Right, good name.
And
good
they
name.
actually went to the house on 2 different occasions. They located cold spots and unexplainable electromagnetic fields. And the whole team was startled when 3 of them said that they saw a face staring down from a second-story window when they went to go and get gear from the car, and there was no one upstairs at the time. And the second visit, they took a medium in with them who allegedly located what they thought was the spirit of Jarrell. And the medium stated that he cursed us and told us to get out of the house. And then also they documented it all on videotape and what they considered to be additional evidence of the paranormal activity, including unexplainable flashing lights. And the footage was shot over both visits, but it all just suddenly disappeared shortly afterwards.
Well, the footage did.
Yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, always happens, doesn't it? When someone, I actually filmed a ghost that came and spoke
But
to me.
the footage itself disappeared. So like, not like it's not. They haven't looked at it and it's gone. Like the stuff that it was all filmed on had gone. So it like even been stolen or it just disappeared completely.
The
and they couldn't
physical
find
footage
it. Yeah.
rather than the. Okay.
But yeah, that's Dog Boy.
Dog
It's
Boy.
just a true story
thought there'd
about
be-
a man.
I thought there'd be more about
Yeah.
him being. I know that people saw the window of the eyes and stuff. That's the kind of dog link.
Yeah, so the dog link is actually just a nickname he was genuinely given
Dog boy.
whilst he was at school, but no one knew what he was actually doing. But he didn't turn out to be a serial killer. He just abused his parents.
Well, he killed both his parents, apparently.
Well,
His mum got taken away. She was fine.
Oh, okay.
and it wasn't proven that he killed.
The dad
Dad.
said it was a heart attack, I think it said. But
Well, sure, but it's not like it's either a heart attack or a broken neck. You can tell
yeah, but he
which
could have
one.
had a heart attack to fall down the stairs.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. You sound like you're defending Dog Boy.
I've defended all of these people just in case we go to this house. But yeah, since then that house has been impossible to actually sell on and get people to take.
Out of every one that you said today, that would probably be the one that I'd find the most unnerving to go to.
What
yeah,
reason?
because there's more evidence of them being real people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And a man died in that house.
But then there is the evidence behind the paranormal side of it as well.
Here's a question that I asked on my podcast, which I still don't know the answer to. A murder house.
Yeah.
Does it go down in value?
Or up.
Do you have to tell the people that are going to buy it?
I think so, yeah.
in America, it's a law that
Yeah.
if there's been a death in the house or a murder, you have to tell
So
it
even
before
if it's
you
just
sell them.
a natural death.
Yeah, because some people don't want to live in a house.
There's actually a law. Look this up, yeah, because I promise you this is fact. There's a law in America that you have to divulge the information to the next buyer if you think the house is haunted. That's a law. If you sell a house and they can prove that you thought it was haunted before, and the new buyer claims it's haunted, there's like grounds for them to
Sue you.
Sue you.
That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, madness. Google that. Because I might have got that wrong.
Do you live in a house where someone was murdered?
Yeah, but I don't really believe in paranormal.
No. But so you're looking at a house, yeah?
Yeah.
Dream house. Imagine that you could get that, right? And they said, right, we'll knock 20k off because this kitchen where you're currently stood, an angry man killed his 2 kids. That'll make you uneasy.
Weirdly, it depends who's the person that's like. If the kid's being killed, it seems a bit more
Yeah.
Eerie. But
Would you take the 20 grand off, or would you be out of there?
Well, the only reason you wouldn't take a house like that is if you believe in something paranormal. That's just a one-off crazy event that's happened in that house.
Yeah, but I think I'd think about it a lot when I'm in there.
Getting a milk in the middle of the night, go in there. Oh,
Yeah.
I've just got chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe I wouldn't.
But 20 grand though, 10 quid per dead kid.
Yeah.
Knocked off.
Not
Any triplets?
No. Not any. 9 states have laws around that. Oh yeah, so Fiona's just confirmed that. Yeah, you do have to just divulge if it's.
Don't know what it's like in England.
I bet.
Oh no, we're not as. England is far. Like, we're not Americans, are we? Do you know what I mean?
Well done. We are.
The murder thing, I think it probably is a thing over here though. I don't know if Fiona could check that, but I'd be interested to see, because there's a lot of houses where murders have gone on.
Yeah, I think a lot that you'll get a very select few of people who would be willing to pay more because there's been a murder.
No, I'm not saying you pay more.
No, but you're saying, does it reduce the price that much?
Yeah.
Only certain people would want to pay because of it.
Because a lot of houses get knocked. If it's a big murder case, like Ian Huntley's,
yeah, it gets
Ketting
really
house,
cheap.
Get knocked down.
Oh yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
places get knocked
completely.
down, stuff like that. So I was interested to see.
It doesn't look like there's a UK law on it.
Ooh.
Well, it looks, I've seen a lot, like even American Horror Story first season. They're buying the house and they say, "Why is it so cheap?" And instantly she tells them because there's been a murder there, and she has to tell them that. But that house in particular, loads of murders. But
in America as well, there was some girl that got kidnapped by this guy, and I can't remember any of the facts, but
good.
but he basically kept her locked up for a long time, used her as a sex slave, and then killed her after a while. And that house still stands, but it's just boarded up. Just not.
I find that weird. I always find like properly boarded up when it's been boarded up for a few years as well. It's a bit like just get rid of it by that point.
Yeah.
Clearly, no one wants it.
No.
Remember Jumanji, the film, the first one?
Yeah.
And Alan Strange gets sucked into the game.
Yeah.
And then that actually makes the house a lot cheaper later on.
Just
So,
Oh, because the kids go missing.
well, because I remember the people buying it. Go, why is this place so cheap? And so there's a weird story about this kid. And then then he comes back, and then Jumanji.
Okay, I'm glad Dog Boy sent us through this route.
Yeah. Dog Boy, 5 out of 10. I will say, when I requested this one on the last episode, I kind of had the envision of kind of Jack Joy's dog, paranormal dog beast floated over him, which I've told on this podcast a lot, and that scared me.
Yeah,
So
that's scarier. I agree, that's scarier.
Yeah.
I like that it's just a true story. But I also like that people have felt so strongly about the stuff that's happened in that house that it's actually been investigated on multiple occasions.
Right.
I'd appreciate anyone finding online a picture of him if they can and tweeting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Tweet
when
it to
someone
us.
tweets us and goes, wasn't real at all. But I read about 4 different things that stated it was real.
That's all right. Whether it is or not is by the by, because this is a urban legend show. It's not facts. It's not Crime Watch. We're not calling out for the whole bunch of Notre Dame. All right.
So bring it back to Notre Dame.
We didn't like it the first time.
Okay, there we go. We'll wrap it up. Noz, it's been a pleasure having you again.
Thanks for spooking me out, Stevie. We appreciate that. Sounded like I was angry. No, genuinely. No, it's very fun. I enjoyed it.
You'll be back soon?
If you have me.
We'll have you. Stevie, thanks for your urban legends. I think the collective idea is that the scariest one, we don't agree actually. My scariest one is the dead little deformed babies.
Yeah,
Candy
lady for me as well.
There we go. This has been Jack Makes Happy Hour, and we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend.